So recording now.
Being recorded.
And we're going to do some TFT for. Now there's a few wonderful fun things that TFT is useful for. There's a set of points to remove the blocks to being or having where you want to be.
Okay.
So you're not actually focusing on the blocks. You're tapping on removing the blocks, but you're actually focusing on, well, where would you be if those blocks weren't there?
Okay.
So what are we imagining?
We are imagining not being distracted, being able to stay focused.
So staying focused and on what you call, like, on target, on track, like when you're doing a project, like staying on task.
Yes.
Staying on task for a period of time. It doesn't have to be hours and hours and hours. I get a lot done in a half hour, an hour.
Right.
You know,
right.
So
the time isn't the consideration. It's the, it's those things that build up and we say, oh, wow, how did 3 months just go by?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And even if I was to do 15 minutes a day, I would get a lot done, even if I was just to do that. So staying on task for 15 to 60 minutes daily.
Daily.
Okay, so
complete short and long-term goals. How about that?
Say it again.
To complete short and long-term goals.
So, right. And so without the blocks, I would be actually completing short and long-term goals. So the 5 points or 6 points would be to remove the blocks to being this, disciplined, focused, staying on task, completing the short and long-term goals. So these are the points that remove the blocks to that. Okay. So side of the hand. Oh, and I want to bump it up a notch because there's actually phrases you can say. So stay tapping on the side of your hand. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yeah, there's fun phrases to say. Hopefully.
I'm already getting distracted because I want to say, I love that new painting behind you.
Oh, this one? This is, we had a neighbor, a friend growing up who painted that. He turned into an artist. His mom was an artist. And then he painted that. And I found it in the house somewhere and I needed something to fill the...
Yeah, I like it.
All right, so say, I want to release all blocks to staying focused.
I want to release all blocks to staying focused.
I want to release all blocks to staying on task.
I want to release all blocks to staying on task.
I want to release all blocks to completing short and long-term goals.
And I release all blocks to what? Completing
yeah.
short and long-term goals.
Yep. I want to add this. I want to release all blocks to being it's something with my system, like having a system that I stick to. I don't love that word, but
right. I want to release
any
resistance. How about, I want to release
the resistance.
Sure. Release any resistance.
Any resistance to living and functioning within my system, my structure.
Good.
Okay, so structure, system. I have this thing in my head about structure and system. Okay, so the next point is under the nose. I will release all blocks.
I will release all blocks.
To staying focused.
Staying focused.
I will release all blocks to staying disciplined within my structure and system.
I will release all blocks to staying focused.
I will release all blocks.
I will release all blocks.
To completing short and long-term goals.
Completing short and long-term goals.
Okay, and the next one is the chin point. I am releasing all blocks.
I am releasing all blocks.
Being productive, staying on track, being disciplined.
To being productive, staying on track, being disciplined.
Yeah. Middle finger. I have always released all blocks.
I have always released all blocks.
To staying on task, staying focused, being disciplined.
All of that.
Yeah, that's funny. I actually felt that. Outside of the eye, outer eye, I will always release all blocks.
I will always release all blocks.
Being disciplined.
Being disciplined.
Staying with my structure and my system.
Staying with my structure and my system.
Staying focused and on task.
Being focused and on task.
Doing my projects.
Doing my projects.
Completing the short and long-term goals.
Completing my short and long-term goals.
Okay, then the collarbone point. I am always releasing all blocks.
I'm always releasing all blocks.
To being focused on task.
Being focused and on task.
Completing my short and long-term goals.
Completing short and long-term goals.
Being disciplined.
Being disciplined.
And living, functioning within my structure and system.
To functioning within my structure and system.
Okay, nice breath in. So that's the 5 or 6 psychological reversal points.
Oh, nice. Okay.
The original TFT had 5 or 6, because I don't know what the collarbone isn't always in the list. It's so weird, but we do it anyway. And then with the I am always releasing. So it's 6 psychological reversal points.
Nice.
Gary Craig is like, let's just do all of them.
Right.
But the TFT, they identified these as the psychological reversal ones, not just the side of the hand. So once you do that, then you do sort of EFT style in a little bit, where you think about, then it's where you set it up like, well, when you think about sitting and doing your task, what contracted energy comes up, and then you can do the algorithm for that. So we can both think about whatever it means for us, like staying on task. So if it could be either me driving to the gym, let's say, and making that part of my routine, and or sitting and doing posts. It's how I imagine it, you know, sitting and creating a post, or recording a video, or editing. And the tedious part, I think it's the tedious part it's the tedium.
Okay.
The doing it, once I'm in the flow,
right.
It's the inertia and the tedium for me. How about you? When you see yourself?
I just know that there's a pattern of incompletion. And I've had this since college or maybe high school.
Pattern of incompletion.
Like I got into EFT because I recognized that the 2 previous systems that I had studied for several years each, I could not complete them. I couldn't get myself to the point of being certified. And I thought maybe the EFT people will be able to help me with that. And I forced myself, I white knuckled it to my completion. Like I made myself do it. I hired Craig Weiner because he is the complete opposite of me, and he challenged me. He was just like, you can do this. And honestly, like looking back, and even at the time, I knew he was kind of being easy on me. Like he could have been way more of a taskmaster. But like definitely my last project for him was, I'm not quite sure how I passed, but I did one technique perfectly in the video.
So let's do this again. We'll do my tedium and your
pattern of incompletion.
Right. So we want to remove the. So if you didn't have that, what would you be? How would you be? If you didn't have that as a.
I'd be matrix certified. I would be a more well-rounded practitioner.
Okay, so we both would be that. So we both have the same thing. So tapping on the side of the hand, say, I want to release all blocks.
I want to release all blocks.
To being a well-rounded practitioner.
What I phrase? I don't even know if I like that phrase.
Productive, successful, effective.
Being an effective practitioner.
Yeah. And then under the nose, I will release all blocks to being an effective practitioner.
Release all blocks to being an effective practitioner.
Under the mouth, chin point. I am releasing all blocks to being an effective practitioner.
Am releasing all blocks to being an effective
practitioner. Yeah, this is good. To being an effective practitioner, and what all of that means to us. Because these other things are I feel like they're bits and pieces of the structure. Okay, love it. Where are we? Middle finger. I have always released all blocks to being an effective practitioner.
I have always released all blocks to being an effective
I find
practitioner.
it interesting that they go through the
Hmm.
before and after. Outside of outer eye, I will always release all blocks to being an effective practitioner.
I will always release all blocks to being an effective practitioner.
Collarbone point. I am always releasing all blocks to being an effective practitioner.
Always releasing all blocks to being an effective practitioner.
This is great. So when we think about being an effective practitioner and the things that it means. So for me, I'm throwing in going to the gym, working out, doing posts, writing articles, doing a little bit of research and writing so when you think about when you are being a productive, so maybe studying more, getting certified, getting clients or what, so when you think about that and you start to feel the contracted energy, that's what we want to work on now. So
Right.
feel any of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can too. It's funny how we can. So we just do eyebrow point, feeling that contracted energy under the eye.
The phrase is, I can't do it.
The phrase is, I can't do it. Yeah.
That contracted
I
energy.
have a bit of that too. Sure. Under the arm and collarbone. And we're going to do the gamut point with the eye movement. So head straight, close your eyes, open your eyes. Down to one corner and the other corner. What was the phrase?
I can't do
I
it.
can't do it. Rolling the eyes around nice and slow, trying to hit every degree, and then around the other way.
That's too fast for me. I'm behind you.
That's okay. I can't do it.
I can't do it.
Tell me when you're done with the eye roll or just start humming. I can't do it.
I can't do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, and then back to eyebrow point. Under the eye. Under the arm. And collarbone point. And then do floor to ceiling eye roll. Now this is just tapping on the gamut point, starting at the floor and working your way up. Not an up and down or side to side. It is only from floor to up. Should take about 7 seconds. And this is bringing up the good stuff, the light, the freedom, the abundance, the maybe action and productivity.
So you're not using this to clear, I can't do it, I won't do it. Okay.
Well, what we
that's what I use.
Just did was for that.
Okay.
Yes, that's what that was for.
Okay.
Yeah. And then switch hands for the gamut point and start at the floor and work your way up, bringing up all that light and abundance and productivity or freedom, happy and eager, happy and eager, maybe belief I can do it, bringing that up, or maybe I can do it. Okay, so now here's a fun one. How would you like to do the three centers? 1, 2, 3. Those 3 dantians.
Okay, so that first dantian, is that kind of like between your belly button and like your pubic bone kind of, or
It's about an inch below your belly button.
Inch below. Okay,
and about
so it's
an
not
inch towards the center of your body.
Okay, good. Okay.
Right. So the idea of putting your hand on it is really just for, it makes it easier to focus on that spot.
Okay. And that second spot was like,
yep,
sixth chakra?
It's the third chakra and then the chest, so heart center. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through all of the 6 psychological reversal points while we're focusing on that center. And we're going to do it 3 times. So this is a little bit arduous. But it's, once again, releasing the blocks to being that effective practitioner with all of what we identified. So with your hand on your...
Okay, I see what you're doing. Gotcha.
So you're going to tap side of the hand, and you're just kind of having a thought of releasing the blocks to being an effective practitioner. And then we're going to do, the next two ones are going to be narrowing it down to maybe something a little bit more specific. So this one's fairly general, just releasing all blocks to attracting, or releasing all blocks to, sorry, I was reading what I wrote there, to being an effective practitioner. And then with your hands still there, tap on under your nose. So keeping one hand on the lower dantian, this is still releasing all blocks to being an effective practitioner. Chin point, releasing all blocks to being an effective practitioner. Middle finger on the hand that's on the dantian. Outside of eye. Collarbone point. Now with the hand you've been using for tapping, put that for the third eye point. It's working.
Oh, it's working, yes.
Yep, and then tap on the side of the hand, releasing all blocks to being this wonderful, effective practitioner. Under the nose, under the mouth, middle finger, outside of eye, and collarbone point. Okay, so with the tapping hand, now put that on your heart center, side of the hand, releasing all blocks to being an effective practitioner. Under the nose, under the mouth, middle finger, outside of eye, and collarbone. And so now we could bring it in a little bit more. So being an effective practitioner, so maybe find one blockage that might be a little bit more specific. So maybe
I can't do it, I won't do it. That was what came up for me.
Okay, can't do it and won't be able to?
Just won't do it.
Won't do it, I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it meaning like, I won't do it, or like I'm not gonna do it. I know I'm not gonna do it. Which one?
Probably all of them. Probably
Okay,
all of it. It feels like a decision that was made around age 14, 15.
Okay, so let's try that. So now with, if you can remember, so we're now with your other hand, put that on your dantian, tap on the side of the hand, releasing all blocks to doing it.
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
Yeah, because that works for me too. Under the nose, releasing all blocks to doing it.
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
Under the mouth, releasing all blocks to being somebody who does it.
Releasing all blocks to somebody who does it.
Middle finger, releasing all these blocks.
Releasing all these blocks.
Outside of eye, releasing these blocks.
Releasing these blocks.
Collarbone point, releasing these blocks to being, to doing it.
Releasing these blocks to doing it.
Okay, so with the tapping hand, put that on your third eye, tap on the side of the hand, releasing all.
I'm in the wrong hand. Okay, good.
Sorry. Third eye, side of the hand, releasing all blocks to doing it.
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
And then tapping under the nose.
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
Yeah. And middle finger, releasing all blocks to doing it.
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
Outside of eye or outer eye.
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
And then collarbone point.
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
With your tapping hand, put that on your heart center. Tapping on the side of the hand, releasing all blocks to doing it.
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
Under the nose.
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
Under the mouth.
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
Under the middle finger. What body part?
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
Doing it, yeah. Outer eye, releasing all blocks to doing it.
Releasing all blocks to doing it.
Collarbone point. Releasing blocks to I can do this.
Releasing all blocks to I can do this.
Okay, so that's, we're going to do one more set of that. And let's see if we could narrow it down even more. So maybe pick a specific thought of what that might mean for you. Like, what would it mean for you at this point? What would be sort of a long or short-term goal that if this was fixed, like what would you do different?
I would take the matrix exam. I have studied those videos backwards, forwards, and sideways to Sunday. And I still feel like I don't really know it. And, you
So,
know,
so
like
let's put your hand on your dantian, your lower dantians, tapping on the side of the hand, releasing all blocks to feeling like I know it.
releasing all blocks to feeling like I know it. Yeah.
And can do it.
Releasing all blocks to feeling confident in my knowledge.
Right.
That's it. It's like there's a constant need for more knowledge.
Mm,
Right. And it's like, how many people do I need to read before I'm like, yeah, I
mhm.
got this, right? I got this. And everybody
So
does it differently.
so
So,
if there's obviously nothing wrong with learning more.
right.
So I'm just wondering if, because I understand this too. So I need to know more. Like I can't do it unless I know more. I need to know more. What if I
Is it,
felt that I knew enough to?
it's almost like an insatiable need that's never going to be filled.
Yep.
I'm never going to feel like I know enough.
Well,
We're going to feel
one of the
like,
things we learn as holistic practitioners is they call it a practice.
right.
So I'm wondering, if you were to look at,
I know. And I've had people tell me this, people who are in practice and successful and say, you know what, you're not going to be fantastic for everyone who walks in the door and you charge $250 anyway. And I'm
mm,
like, that hurts me.
mm,
I don't want to I identify with that person walking through the door more than I identify with myself giving the service.
mm-hmm,
Identify with the person who feels kind of like I didn't get my money's worth.
right.
So I want to be that person who's
Yep.
like, I'm rock solid.
Yep. I understand this too.
But to my detriment, right? My bank
Well,
account
sure.
is sad. It's
Right.
like,
That's at this part. That's at our
and then I
checkbook
have,
part.
and then like the deeper thing is I have jealousy for people who I think are kind of not, I
Mediocre.
mean, mediocre, right? Or they just don't really care that much about the person. They care more about their techniques
Mm,
and their system and less about whether it really helps someone. And I've
right.
tapped with so many of those people who have said, I can't believe I spent that $5,000. I wish I had that $5,000 back from that guy, you know. And I'm like, and he still goes to conferences and gives his talks and he doesn't feel one iota of shame or guilt
So
or
try this.
anything.
So let's try this and let's see if this works for us. So one hand on your dantian, tapping on the side of the hand, and say this and try this, and let's see if we could hone it down. Say, releasing all the blocks
Facing all the blocks.
to feeling confident in my work
Feeling confident in my work
and secure enough to charge appropriately
and secure enough to charge appropriately
so that I can really practice.
that I can really
Because
practice.
I'm going along the lines of like, what if we had the idea that I'm actually not practicing until I'm actually charging and actually being a practitioner, so that anything before that is learning, 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 but I'm not actually practicing until I've crossed that line of I'm certified, I charge a full amount. Now I'm practicing.
Now I'm
So
practicing.
all of those years I wasn't even practicing yet because I wasn't
Right.
in practice. What do you think about that idea?
That sounds right to me because it feels like a hobby before you charge real money.
Right. So I got the chills.
Like,
So I'm wondering if this is where we could try to approach this of I'm not actually practicing, so I'm doing myself and all of my potential clients a disservice if I'm not. I
right.
have to charge because it's the only way. I have to be certified and charging appropriately because it's the only way I'm going to be practicing. How does that sit with you as a thing?
I get stories in my head. So what comes up for me is the woman you spent $199 for a half an hour with her, right? She's charging $400 an hour.
Hmm.
And she didn't need to like, I don't know. It seemed very cut and dried the way you described it.
Hmm.
And and you were willing to pay the money. You felt like you got your money's worth,
Oh yeah. I
right?
still feel like I'm getting from that.
Wow. And then there's the question is, was the higher price part of that receiving? Like, does that factor in there?
I wonder.
Does it make it more valuable because, she said it's more valuable?
I wonder.
right? And like
Yeah.
charging, and it's hard because we live in a society where $15 an hour is what many people make. So
Hmm.
then it's that idea of I'm not marketing to those people because they can't afford it. And then
Well,
all the
although it's funny because it's often people who are making nothing who pay.
right. And Alina
I,
likes to
the
say if
first
the
one with
people have to
$200,
save up,
I was taking home 250 a week.
hmm
It was almost an entire week's pay. It
hmm
set me back a bit. I remember.
but it was valuable to
It
you.
was valuable. It's still valuable. I still remember what that experience was like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny when I think back, I remember I actually had in that session, and this is early on. I was new in
Yeah.
sobriety. I was not all up with the God thing, and I had a Jesus vision in that session. Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
and she was a Jewish therapist, and I was like, I got to tell you, there's Jesus right there. I see Jesus right there. It was absolutely life changing, and
Wow.
this was a 50-minute session.
Wow.
It was an hour from the time, like it was from the top of the hour to the top of the hour, whether we were set up or not, talking or not. She ended it. So by the time I walked out the door, it wasn't even the top of the hour yet. There was
Wow.
no extra time.
Wow.
And this is what she was used to charging as a therapist, $200 an hour cash. She's like, I don't do insurance. Are you kidding me? You pay or you don't, she wasn't mean about it.
No, it's
She
just
was a
a
Carol Look
fact.
student.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
She probably has you work on all of these things. So if we were to release the blocks to being, what would we be? I would be charging appropriately. Now, it is true, and even Alina, I heard her say this, you might have told me this, even she is okay with like, well, as you're growing in your confidence and practicing, your fee can start lower and work its way up.
Right, right. I mean, she started at $50 an hour, and a
Right.
physician in her area said, I can't refer people to you if you're charging $50 an hour.
Yeah. Right.
That's inappropriate.
Right. So there can be an appropriate increase. But
Right.
I'm wondering if we play with the idea of like, I'm not actually in practice unless I'm certified and my paperwork is set up and I can actually accept a client and have them fill out their name and address on a piece of paper
Mm,
and say,
right.
thank, and I started with files, Cynthia. I started doing it. I number my patients, my clients now.
Nice,
They each
nice,
get a folder. You have a folder.
nice. Oh, I have a folder. Huh.
You have a folder. Yeah. You want to know what your number is?
I do.
You're a number now.
Am I seven? I hope I'm seven.
17-1,
17
meaning,
one. There's a seven.
as far as I could figure out, we started in 2017 and I put you as my first
Oh,
client,
nice. Okay, cool.
whether it was a tapping thing or a nutrition thing, who knows, but I
Yeah,
had to pick something.
we were doing both, but it was definitely the nutrition.
Yeah. So as I go through my old notebooks, I keep pulling out all the pages and accumulate
Mm,
so that, and so now as I get new people, they get put on my spreadsheet, they get a number, because then it lets me know, like I already have 8 new clients for this year.
woo!
I had no idea. It feels like 2, but when I
Right.
look back at the record, I just had to put somebody in and they were number 8.
Nice.
This is awesome.
Yeah, that really is awesome.
And then I started tracking the money better because it's like, well, what if I was a real, not that I'm not a real practitioner, but what if I was living it? So some of it I actually had to go through the steps of, well, what if I was there? I'd have to keep track of these things,
Mm,
proper, better, So some of it I'm making it up as I go, not making it up, but I'm like, if I were really doing this the right way, at least I would start doing the paperwork. So I've been cleaning the paperwork, getting all of that in order. Well, what if I was charging 200, 250? What else would I be doing? So if I'm not ready to charge it, at least let me get my paperwork in order. At least let me get my calendar in order. At least let me try to be on time. So I don't suffer when I'm a little late, but I'm like, well, you know what? I would like to step it up a bit.
mhm.
I would like to, even for friends who understand. It's like, well, can I get my system in place better?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so sometimes I'll be ready early. I have to stop offering though that I'm ready early. Let me just be ready early,
Right.
you know, and like, oh, I'm here an hour early if you want to set, you know, I mean, it's rare that somebody's like, oh yeah, no, that works. It's rare. So I need to just stop doing that.
Yeah.
If we were, so put your hand on your dantian, tapping on the side of the hand, releasing all blocks,
Releasing all blocks.
being this effective practitioner,
Being this effective practitioner.
feeling like a practitioner,
Feeling like a practitioner.
ready to practice. Like, I want to say kick-ass practice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
Kick-ass
want to
practice.
kick ass at practicing what I do.
I want to be so effective that people are blown away. That's it.
Yeah.
I want to be that person.
Yeah.
I want to be that Brad Yates who's like, yeah, I charge $450 and my calendar's booked 6 months and you're
Right.
lucky to get in.
Yeah.
Dawson Church, $750.
Right.
Right? These people
Oh,
who
is
are
he really
just,
$750 for a
oh
session?
yeah, if you can get in because he's
Wow.
super busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So keeping your hand under your dantian and tap under your nose, releasing all blocks to being that super effective practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that super effective practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Middle finger. Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Outer eye. Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Collarbone point. Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Okay, with your tapping hand, put it on your third eye, tapping on the side of the hand.
Tapping hands. Tapped. Okay.
Yep. You got it. Tapping on the side of the hand. Yep. Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Under the nose, releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Under the mouth. Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Middle finger, releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
All
And they
blocks.
think regular tapping looks weird. Try this with them. Outer eye, releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Collarbone point, releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
With your tapping hand on your heart center, tapping on the side of that hand, releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Under the nose, releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Chin point, releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Middle finger, releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Outer eye, releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Collarbone point, releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Releasing all blocks to being that practitioner.
Okay, we'll do the floor to ceiling eye roll. So tapping on the gamut point, eyes to the floor, and taking about 7 seconds to go up to the ceiling, bringing in all of that light and freedom and confidence, and knowing that those people are walking away feeling like they've gotten, that it wasn't even enough money to pay for
I love that.
what they got.
I love that.
That's good. That good.
That good.
For them.
For them.
Obviously for me. I mean, you know, that you and I, that's okay. So the last thing we're going to do for that is the collarbone breathing.
Good.
What that is you're literally breathing in who you would be if you were that. So you want to tune into that. So we've tapped away some stuff. We want to tune into, well, what if I was that Brad Yates, that Dawson Church, that level of ability, confidence, happy to charge, people are happy to pay, and they feel like it still wasn't even enough.
Right.
You know, like that's it. Ugh, that's unbelievable. So the collarbone breathing is, it's this side of the hand and then this side of the hand. And the way we do it is 2 fingers, palm side, more flat, not really tip of the finger, but the pad of the finger, with nothing else touching your body. So elbows up and out. And then when we bend the finger, what we're doing is the opposite side of the hand, but it's just easy to bend it.
Sure.
So, yep. So tapping on the gamut point, And this is just you aligning with yourself as that practitioner. Imagine that you've released all the blocks. You have gotten certified, happy, eager, lovely clients. They just flock, and there's a waiting list.
There's a waiting
So
list.
that sort of thing, you know, and it's productive, and you know it's productive. You have that confidence, and that you know you're effective, but still practicing. Like,
Right.
oh, I'm really practicing now. This is great. Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
so you're going to breathe all the way in and hold it, and halfway out and hold it, all the way out and hold it, halfway in and hold it. Breathe normal if you need to. Switch to the other collarbone point. And it's about 5 taps per breath hold.
Mm-hmm.
So breathing all the way in, hold it, halfway out, hold it, all the way out and hold it, halfway in and hold it. Okay, now bend the finger so it's the opposite side of your hand on either collarbone point, tapping on the gamut point, breathing all the way in and hold it, halfway out and hold it, all the way out and hold it, halfway in and hold it, and breathing normal if you need to. Other side, other collarbone point, still tapping on the gamut point, and breathe all the way in and hold it, all the way, halfway out and hold it, all the way out and hold it, halfway in and hold it. Okay, breathing normal. We're going to switch to the other hand. So realign with yourself as that effective practitioner, fully practicing, charging fully. People love it. They feel like it's still not even enough, but it's a fair thing, and the exchange is clear. So everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. You know you're effective, and they know you're effective. They got something out of it. So the exchange is fair because of where it set them free in their life. So aligning with that, tapping on the gamut point, breathe all the way in and hold it. Halfway out and hold it. All the way out and hold it. Halfway in and hold it. Switch to the other collarbone point, breathe all the way in and hold it. Halfway out and hold it. All the way out and hold it. Halfway in and hold it. Breathing normal if you need to for a break. Bend your knuckles, either collarbone point, still tapping on the gamut point, aligning with yourself as that effective practitioner. Everybody's satisfied and free and moving forward. Breathing all the way in and hold it. Halfway out and hold it. All the way out and hold it. Halfway in and hold it. Switch to the other side, breathing all the way in and hold it. Halfway out and hold it. All the way out and hold it, halfway in and hold it. And I think that's it.
So that was really great, because I actually went through a whole bunch of people came to mind, a whole bunch of stories, and I ended with a woman I worked with 6 years ago now, who ended our 18 months working together by saying, if I could give you my house, I would. And it's that level of effectiveness that I want to bring to every client.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I've just, like, I attract people like Lori, who have such big trauma histories that it's hard to even get into the work. Like, it's pretty much my job just to hold the space and say, this is our job, is just to stay in the present moment, to recognize that you've got, I don't know, 150 trauma capsules, and maybe that's conservative, and you're doing great. And we're going to just keep on staying in the present moment. And I have, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 people like that now.
Mm-hmm.
And these are people who can't afford the price I would like to charge.
And
So that's my conflict, right?
Yep. And so, you know, going through that as well, you know, so it might not be those people that pay, but on the path to being an effective practitioner, we need that level of practice. And so as you're doing it, You know, for now, you could say, well, they can't pay me, and that's fine. But I am learning that this is what I do. This is my superpower. I
Right.
hold the space. And, you know, as we're getting clearer and clearer, like, oh, that's what I do. That's what I do.
Right.
Maybe we're tapping, maybe we're not tapping, maybe we're just breathing, maybe we're
Right.
doing whatever Cynthia Jenkins does, that the person is like, I need you to do what it is that you do, because first of all, nobody else can do it.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what I need.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it for me, I can't even live. Not
Yeah.
that I have to end it, but you know, I'm not
Right.
living, and I absolutely need you. Now, the people that you have now are showing you that that is your superpower. It is still the learning, the schooling part.
Right.
When you're a practitioner, you're going to know this, and people are going to know it too. And they're going to be like, I don't care. Just tell me what the number is, because I need to put it in my thing. But I don't care what the number is, because
Right.
I need what it is that you do. I can't move. I can't live unless I do this with you.
Right. And this might be an investment that I have to make. I might
It's an
have to take out
investment
a
I have to
loan to
make,
do
but
this.
I have to make it. And
Yeah.
so thank you for not charging Tony Robbins prices. Thank you for charging Cynthia
Right.
Jenkins prices. And it's like, well, you know, I'm not Tony Robbins. I don't even want to be Tony Robbins. I'm
Right.
me. And
Right. But if it costs you $5,000 for a year to work with me and then you're a different person, you
right,
got your life back, that's
right.
kind of a small price to pay. It's not Margaret Lynch prices, who's up to at least 20 grand now,
Is she?
maybe maybe 25. And you work with her coaches. You don't even get sessions with her, right? And yeah,
So the TFT method, what they suggest is, well, if you can do all of that, which I, of course, will admit that I don't do all of that, but I have my sheet to remind me, and every once in a while, I'll bring it up and I'll just go through the whole thing. You know, it doesn't take me this amount of time because I'm just kind of going through it, you know, but the releasing of the blocks is really important.
mm,
Even if we're not
so
aware of what the blocks are, if you're tapping away the psychological reversal,
yeah.
we get free of it.
Right. And
So,
it can take a little time for your, your body mind system to catch up with the release.
right,
So,
right.
yeah.
And there's also timing, because let's say let's say you remove any of the blocks that are needed to be removed to be able to say, okay, I'm absolutely ready to get certified in matrix reimprinting. Feels like the next right thing to do. And you know, there's other things that get lined up. There's the finances, there's the timing, there's the timing of like who's going to do it with you. You know, is Craig lined up? Is who needs to be lined up to do it? You know, all of that, and trusting that process, obviously. So as you're going through it, other things are getting lined up too. So as you
Mhm.
remove the blocks, it frees it up for the money for Craig or whoever. And, you know,
It's like I get to this point where I've done all that stuff. I just can't pull the trigger, right? I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on other systems, including Matrix,
mhm.
that you know, any other person would have been certified already, would have been out
Yep. So do
money.
EFT,
Yeah.
do EFT, even though I've spent tens of thousands of dollars.
Even though I have spent tens of thousands of dollars.
Let's try to play with what the voice in the head is actually saying. So we're not looking for
Mhm.
fixing it, but just like, what is that voice saying? So even though I spent $10,000, I'm still not there yet. Let's ramble through some of them. I'm still not there yet.
I'm still not allowing myself to be there yet.
I'm still not allowing myself to be there yet. I feel like I should.
Be more prepared.
I feel like I should. I feel like I'm not prepared.
Feel like I'm not
Let's do
prepared.
this. I feel like I'm not prepared.
Feel like I'm not
I'm
prepared.
not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
I'm not
I
prepared.
haven't done enough.
I haven't done
I
enough.
haven't spent enough.
I haven't spent
They
enough.
need more.
I need more.
They need more from me.
Let's go back to that. what did you say in the beginning? I'm not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
I kind of feel like staying with that one for a few
So
minutes.
do your thumb. I'm not prepared.
Not prepared.
I'm not, all your fingers. I'm not prepared.
Not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
And do the gamut point. And close your eyes. Open your eyes. I'm not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
Down to one corner and the other corner. I'm not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
And up and around. I'm not prepared.
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 I'll never be prepared.
I've spent all this money and I'm not prepared.
I'm still not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
No matter what I do, I'm not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
No matter what I've done, I'm not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
No matter what I do, future tense, I still will not be prepared.
I'll never be prepared.
I'll never be prepared. I'm not prepared and I'll never be prepared.
I'll never be prepared.
It's stuck in me that I'm not prepared.
It's stuck in me that I'm not prepared.
There's a part of me that will never feel prepared.
There's a part of me that will never feel prepared.
She can never feel prepared.
She can never feel prepared.
And then do, if you're ready, do a humming and a counting and a humming.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then tapping through the points. I'll never be prepared.
Never be prepared.
I'm not prepared.
You know what I'm feeling like doing? She'll never be prepared.
She'll never be prepared.
Never be prepared.
She doesn't feel prepared.
She doesn't feel prepared.
She wasn't prepared.
She wasn't prepared.
She wasn't prepared.
Wasn't prepared.
It's true.
True. She wasn't prepared.
And maybe I can help her.
Maybe I can help her.
Actually, probably, I'm pretty sure I can help her.
I'm pretty sure I can help her.
She doesn't feel prepared.
She doesn't feel prepared.
She's not prepared.
She's not prepared.
Maybe she wasn't prepared.
She wasn't prepared.
Whatever that was, she wasn't prepared.
Whatever that was, she wasn't prepared.
And it was the best coping mechanism.
And it was the best coping mechanism.
For her to decide, I'm not prepared.
For her to decide, I'm not prepared.
And life proved it to be true at the time.
Life did prove it to be true at the time.
She is not prepared.
She is not prepared.
In that place, she's not prepared.
In that place, she is not prepared.
So do you want to try?
Yeah.
How would you do it? I know you don't feel prepared. And that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I know you don't feel prepared. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's the proper thing to figure out in the moment. I know you don't feel prepared. Maybe I can help you with this.
Maybe I can help you with this.
I know you don't feel prepared.
I know you don't feel prepared.
And I understand.
And I do understand.
That was the best decision.
That was the best decision that you could have made.
Yeah, good job.
Good job.
It's true, it's accurate.
It's true and accurate.
So let me see how I can help you.
Let me see how I can help you.
I know you don't feel prepared.
I know you don't feel prepared.
I know you don't feel prepared, and then therefore
there are consequences.
Hmm?
And therefore there are consequences.
Right. I know you don't feel prepared, and the consequences.
The consequences.
Tied to that, attached to that, blocking what you know would happen. Feeling not prepared.
Feeling not prepared.
I know you don't feel prepared.
I know you don't feel prepared.
I know you don't feel prepared.
And you feel terrible for spending all of that money.
And you feel bad for spending all that money. I know you feel like you spent all that money.
Feel like you spent all that money.
Maybe you feel like you threw it away.
Maybe you feel like
you
realized you didn't belong there after you spent the money.
I know you feel like you spent the money in a place where you didn't belong.
You spent the money in a place where you didn't belong.
And what that means to you.
What that means to you. Yeah.
The different things that means. I spent that money there.
You spent that money there.
You spent that money and feel like you wasted it there or threw it away there or it was ineffective there. You spent money and it was ineffective. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I don't want people to do that to me.
I don't
Don't
want
spend the
people.
money here if I'm not going to be effective, because I've
Hmm.
done that and it's probably one of the worst things to feel. What a waste.
I don't want people to feel that way
I
with
don't want
me.
people to feel that way.
That's exactly it.
I
I
don't
don't
want people
want,
to feel like they're wasting their money on me, because I might be effective and productive, but if it's not the right thing for them, I don't want them to waste that money on me. And so it's
that's
such
it.
a bad thing that, you know what? It's almost better to not even
To not even charge, or to
charge or try.
charge like the
Right.
minimal amount. So, my line has been, it's whatever is the
Happy price.
appropriate amount for you, the happy
Yeah.
price that you
Yeah.
wouldn't. Yep.
It's like, how much would you plan on bringing to the casino? You know you're going to lose it, but you want to have
Hmm.
fun anyway. But it's a waste of time and it's a waste of money, but you've budgeted in how much money you're willing to throw away,
Right.
because the
And for
chances
some
are,
people, that is $200, right?
well, that's another way to look at it. But this is an interesting thing that's coming up because I'm feeling it too.
Yeah.
I've spent all this time, all this money,
And I don't
blah, blah,
belong
blah,
here.
along the journey. F that,
I don't
because,
belong here. These are not my people. This
right,
is not my course of study. What the hell am I doing here?
right, right.
And now I've labeled myself a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Really was, if I just went through those, like the Tad Hargrave thing is, before people sign up with anything for him, he has an "Are you sure?" page.
Mm,
Sure? Are you really sure?
mm,
Like, because
mm,
I'm not this and I'm not that. I'm
mm,
this.
mm-hmm.
And he's like, you know,
So
that in your.
let's try something. Um, I can't be everything to everybody.
I can't be everything to everybody.
And I mean, we know that's true. At least at this level, we know that's true. Um, let's try
Even
this.
though a part of me might want to be, right? Even though a part of me might be imagining I should be, I know that that's not realistic
Right.
or healthy for me or anybody else.
Let's try the questions. I should be able to do it for anybody. Say that.
Should be able to do for anybody.
Does that
No,
feel
that's not
true or
true.
not true? Okay. How does it feel feeling that?
Constricting.
Yep. And who would you be if you didn't have that?
Free to be there for the people who would really benefit from
Right.
working with me.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like to imprint that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. If I didn't have that, I would be free. I would be freer,
I'd be
certainly,
freer. Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
matches.
Like a client from last year popped right into my head.
Mm,
Was like, yeah, she's another practitioner. She actually did pay me full price, even though she didn't have a lot of money. And it kind of helped her get back on the horse of her
right.
life.
Right. So if I didn't have that, I would be free for the people that
If I
were,
didn't have that,
were
I
more
would be
likely to,
free for the
yeah.
people who need my help. Yeah.
Right. Willing and
Benefit from,
able,
right. Who
and,
would actually
you know,
benefit.
going through a mental checklist of, are you sure? Are you
Hmm.
sure? This is great communication. It's like, this is what I do. This is what I don't do. I'm
Hmm.
clear about that. I know I can't help everybody. So how does that feel now? I know I can't help everybody.
True. A
Yeah.
little sad, but true.
So do a turnaround of I can't help everybody.
I can't help everybody.
And how is that true? How is that true anyway?
Then Esther Hicks comes up in my head saying, "You're not supposed to help anybody."
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Tell me about that from what you're thinking about that.
Oh, it's nobody needs your help. Nobody needs your help. People need you to be you.
Okay.
The world needs you to be you. It doesn't
Right.
need your
This
help.
is probably a really important thing for us, people like us, certainly. Right.
Like
It's not,
the nobody is broken kind of thing, which really has been my feeling for the past really since the Matrix stuff. Like, oh, we're not broken.
right.
Our energy fields are filled with those trauma capsules and, you know,
Right,
incomplete parts of us,
right,
but we're not broken. You know,
right.
the
So when we're finding that safe place, we're looking for that underlying, not
right,
trying to fix the capsules, but you build the underlying more, remind people of their underlying more and more. That's
right,
that safe place. That's your superpower, because you do actually have that
right.
superpower ability. That is your one of your gifts.
Thank you.
Welcome. Oh, thank you for doing it on me for free.
Right back at you.
Yeah. Yeah. And, look, we helped each other and certainly practice people, you know, to hone apprentice. Back in the day, people apprenticed for 30 years and it was
Exactly.
expected. And so they never felt like, well, I threw away half my life.
Right. It was expected that,
It,
you were 12 years old and you would be
yeah,
apprenticed, or
yeah,
7 years old,
right,
and you wouldn't have your own place until you were at least 25.
right, right. And what were you doing during the apprenticeship?
So we've
That's how
been,
I learned the nutrition. I looked back at some of the dates and it was, 5 years of apprenticeship.
yeah,
It was years of apprenticeship before I even went to the schooling.
wow,
I think it was 4 years apprenticing with her before I even went to the school.
wow. That's really great.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing. And it cost me, because I didn't make any money because all that was happening. That actually is really helpful to do that, because, the resentment from that was sneaking in there, and I never make any money. It's like, well, maybe not when you're apprenticing until you're 50 years old, but
Right,
now here you are.
right, exactly.
I mean, this is not to butter me up. You don't even have to say anything. But if you were to look at me and say, if I was to say, like, I wasted all that time with her, I wasted all that money, I didn't get anything out of it, it wasn't even a match, like, how would you?
I would say, the number $10,000 comes to me like, when I'm all done with all the nutrition stuff and in a
Yep.
in a good place, like, it would be worth $10,000. Like it
Right.
would
Right.
a lot
So,
of money,
for me to have the
but at
perspective of,
least
I'm not good
$200 a
enough, I'm not
session, right?
practiced enough because I'm not charging appropriately. It's like, well,
You're worth at least $200 a session. Like that's the reality for me. Like
right.
I would expect
Yeah.
someone with your
Now,
level
can
of,
I charge it yet? Well, obviously not, because I'm not,
right.
but is the potential there? Sure. Even I agree with you. It's like, oh, yeah. But in the meantime, and my price does go up more and more and more.
Mhm.
I'm at a level of, 100 for the tapping and 50 for the nutrition follow up and 125 if you do both. That took a while to get
Yeah.
to that. So it doesn't have to start at 200.
Right,
It's fun to
exactly.
play with that, to try to see where I am, but it's interesting where I feel comfortable
Mhm.
with. Like, it feels weird to charge less than that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it does continue to increase and grow, and it might work its way. Justin Church didn't start at 750.
No,
Brad
of course
Yates,
not. Yeah. Yeah, of
and
course
some of
not.
that is an interesting thing, how you land one movie,
Right.
you know
Right. And all of a sudden, I mean, like I always say the medical medium guy, he charges 750 for a half an hour,
right,
or it might be $1,000 now. And it's
right,
like, what does that guy say to everybody? Like, yes, he can
right,
read your body, and maybe that's worth $1,000 to you, but his solution is the same. It's drink 16 ounces of celery juice when you first wake up. Are you going to do that?
right.
Right? Are you going to be I don't know. I'm
Yep,
talking to
yep.
Pauline in my head because I'm just like, are you kidding me? You would go to, she was just like, I would
But
love it.
that's another thing. There's a big difference between the people we know we could help and
Mhm.
they're right in front of us.
Right.
So I've been going through a process of, like, basically not helping my family
Mhm. Yeah.
because they don't actually necessarily want it.
Like, that's what I look back on. That woman who said she'd give me her house if she could, she was at a level 9.5 or 10
Mm,
of, yes, I want this help. Yes, I want to
hmm,
change.
hmm.
I want this.
Right.
Like, she was there.
Yeah.
Like, her buy-in was one of the highest of anybody I've ever worked with.
Right.
So she got the results.
Yep.
And it's
And that
like,
time is valuable.
yeah,
So like my
exactly.
sister Virginia, she comes here, she wants to get checked. She doesn't wait for me to do a follow-up. She's like, I need to get checked. Is today at 4 good?
Mhm.
I got to bring my kid. I'll bring my supplements. What,
She's totally at a 10 of buy-in,
right.
right? She's
Right.
there. Just like, you're the guy, you have the
Oh,
information.
yeah. And when
That
she tells other people, she's like, oh, you have that problem? Oh, go to Dan. She's like, don't even complain to me anymore until you go see Dan.
I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it may not be my higher paying clientele, but until I'm in that, it's like, oh, but at least they're pre-sold,
Exactly.
ready to go.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's okay to take the $50 for now. But
Definitely.
I've had some new people, and it's $100. They're
Nice.
like, which form would you like the money?
Mm,
How do you want it?
yeah.
Not, and that's
Hmm.
nice. It's nice to get $100.
It is nice to get $100. No, it
you know,
definitely is.
and I know that one day I will charge 200 and it'll be just as easy. And it's okay with me that I'm not there yet. I feel hopeful and excited that I'm working my way up. And I feel like if I get, see, now that's a reason for me to get my systems in place where working out, and not that I eat bad, but there's always a way to improve that. But like the paperwork, the working out at the gym, the better structures, the timing thing, the posts or videos or whatever I have to do. It's like, yeah, I'm working my way to being
Yeah.
where
There.
$200 an hour is normal, because it's like, no, I put a lot into this business, and
They do.
I'm kind of skirting by with I know my bare minimum is a lot better than some people's
Right.
full
I
on.
know. Right.
I acknowledge that. I'm pretty good with that, but it is still my skirting by. I'll
Mm.
admit that to you. I'm not going to tell anybody else that, but it's like, no, I know I could step it up a little bit, you know? So that's a better why for me.
Right. Right. I like that.
Yeah. It's like, no, I want to be a full on practitioner. And I'm glad and I will admit, I'm glad I got the certifications done. I'm glad that that part is less of a blockage for me, because uh, it might be bad that I'm saying this to you, but like, it does make a difference.
It does. It really
Get
does.
certified. You will love it. You will love being certified. There's
Now
a,
I'm EFT certified. Like
yeah, yeah,
I got that years ago,
yeah,
but
which is great. But
yeah, but it's like
if
I
one of your
spent
next,
all that money. I've taken 2 matrix classes. I did the travel and the hotels and,
what would you
went
need to
there.
do to get certified in that at this point?
I feel like I need to read the book one more time. I need to look at
Mhm.
all my notes that I've taken on all the videos.
Okay, if you want to, I've never read the book.
You didn't read the book to take the test.
No,
Okay.
nope. I
I mean,
skimmed it.
it's a 15-pound test,
I
right?
skimmed it. I
It's
skimmed it because I
I
knew the
s- I
stuff.
skimmed it years ago.
I skimmed it. I knew that I knew enough
Hmm.
and was hoping to pass
Hmm.
so that I could get certified, because it's been drilled into me. I mean, you're a practitioner too. You've studied things. It was drilled into me decades ago. You're a practitioner. You have a practice. They call it even a doctor, an MD goes through all of that schooling, but they hardly know anything practically by the time they get through the schooling. I'd be terrified to go to a younger doctor, because it's like, what do you know? You know, schooling, that's great. You
Hmm.
might have information for me, but ooh, with the knife, I don't know about that. Maybe in 20 years when you've had some practice. And that's after they become, I'm not saying I feel that fully, but I'm just sort of, so there is a tipping point. You get certified, that part is done. But if you want to, but the learning part, so not only did I not read the book, but now I am reading the book and bought 2 other Matrix books that I'm trying to read, the birth one from
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Sasha
read
or whatever, not
again. I
Sasha.
read that. Oh, it's Sharon.
Yeah,
Sharon
see,
King.
look, now I didn't have the Matrix books before, but now I do. This one, this one, the birth one,
Hmm.
you know, I got these books recently because it's like, oh no, I want to continue, and
Yeah.
they don't have an advanced thing at the moment, so let me read the books.
Right.
And on top of it, not only did I get through the exam and all of that and passed, obviously, but it means more to me now. It makes more sense to me now because you and I have practiced things. Me and Monique have practiced things. So now when I read it, it's like, oh, it means more. So the learning is better now that once the certification happens. So that's meant to inspire you. I don't know if it does. But how do you feel when you think about, I'm going to go, next step is if this was the case, I'm not saying it should be, but if you were saying, all right, my next step is to get certified in that, I'll be able to move forward. It'll give me that thing that I think that I need. And maybe I need it anyway. How do you feel when you think about,
I
let's say
think I just
getting certified?
I tapped with two or three people a few years ago about failing the matrix test, and one
Hmm.
woman even failed it more than once.
Oh,
And matrix is like her life. So that was really challenging for her, but she was in her early 70s, and I think
mm.
maybe her cognitive function wasn't what it used to
Here's a
be.
question. Are you concerned that you would fail it?
Very slightly.
What would happen if you failed it?
Well, I have this image in my head that I'm doing the questions and I'm taking pictures as I go so that if I fail it, I can study what those questions were that I got wrong and then go back and take the test in
How
whatever
do you
time
tend to
limit.
be with tests like that? Such a
Well,
tendency.
how did I do on the EFT test? I passed with pretty much flying colors.
Because I feel like the matrix test is not a big deal.
Really?
Yeah, the EFT one was pretty tough. I don't feel like the
Oh,
matrix one was.
because these women were just like, they were tricky questions. It could have been one or the other. You didn't feel like that.
Nope, I felt like it was pretty clear.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's good to know.
yeah.
It's really good to know.
But, you know, I also felt like I understood matrix
Yeah. Yeah, like
in
you
a
get it.
textbook way,
Right.
which so that's helpful,
Yeah.
you know.
I
What would you have to
just
do to prepare to get certified?
pay
Like, do
my
you have to do
15
any,
pounds.
what's that?
Pay my 15 pounds and
That's
just do
funny.
it.
Yeah, that's another
I've
thing.
now
Do it while
spent,
it's cheap, because if they decide to raise prices, you know,
plus I've been paying my whatever $120 a year for Carl Dawson's site, and it's only to get
oh,
this done. And I think
oh,
I've spent $400 now on
I don't
that
even think
website
I'm on that. I don't even know what
because
that is.
it kind of costs too much. It's matrixreimprinting.com. It's Carl's website, and it's basically how he makes his money, I think.
Hmm.
Because,
It
you
might
know,
be. I mean, how else do people,
how many people are on there spending $120 a year or
right?
$100 a year? Like that's a
Yeah.
nice
I don't even
income.
think I'm on that site.
Because yeah, I mean, I have a couple of friends who are just like, why are you paying that year after year? You don't need it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I know, because I keep on saying I'm going to take this test. So anyway,
Right.
my goal, my short-term goal is to take the matrix test by the end of February
Of next year.
this year. No, no, no.
Oh,
I'm telling you, I've watched all the videos
you have
backwards.
you have you have you have 8 days.
Yeah, right?
Oh,
Yeah. I should be able
well,
to do this.
I really wish you would,
Yes.
and I would love to be a supportive friend
Thank you.
to nudge you and know that uh, it would be okay to fail because you just take it again.
Right.
And
Exactly. And that's my thought is like,
yeah,
why don't I just do it this afternoon? I have some time.
yeah, just find out. I remember, and it's something I'm so glad that this experience happened. I remember back in the day, I was like 16 or 17 or however old you are when you do this. No, I was a little bit older. I was like 17 or 18. I got my permit to drive.
Mm,
And the DMV, for some reason, they had an appointment available for a road test. Normally, they were backed up for months. And they had one available for a couple of weeks after I got my permit. And I was like, I'm not ready, but you never know. I booked it.
wow.
So
Wow.
I did the test and failed. And I was like, right, that would have been weird. I have no
Would have
experience
been
driving.
amazing. It would have been amazing if you
I,
passed, but
I was like, and it's funny because I failed over something like parallel parking, and like I
or
didn't look. I looked in the mirror and I didn't turn my head. It was for that and one other thing that was actually kind of important.
yeah,
It
okay.
might have been a stop sign issue, and and I was like, oh, now I know what this is like. Now I know how not bad it is. And I'm glad because I wanted to be a really good driver. My driver's ed teacher was spectacular.
Oh, nice.
You know, he really just like, you got to be defensive. It's everybody else. You could be the best driver, but it's the ball coming out of the cars. It's the kids running. It's
Exactly.
every other Yahoo on the street. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that would be a thing.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, the reason, so it removed any sort of fear of failing a test because I was like, oh, well, if you fail it, you'll find out what you know and what you don't know, and it removes all of the unknowns.
Yeah. Okay, I'm feeling better. I think I am going to take it
Yeah.
today.
So worst case scenario is you fail the first one. You good to know. Make a mental note of all the questions because they're the same kind of question that we know about Matrix.
And plus, you get whatever time you get, and it's an open book test. Like when you asked me before, like, how did I do on the other tests? I'm like, they give you 90 minutes, and I think I took 45 minutes for both
Yeah.
tests.
Yeah. And I skimmed through the book. I know what they're looking for, and it isn't tricky questions. I mean,
It's pretty basic.
it's
Okay.
pretty basic. I mean, yes, it could be tricky if you kind of don't know, or maybe their brains don't work that way. That's okay. I understand that too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you and I get it. I mean, there's things about like, what's the echo? What does it mean? What does it stand for? Who's the client?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Is the echo?
Yeah.
You
So
know, there might be
basic, the
things procedurally like
basics.
how do you set it up, and you know what are the things to look out for, like what the echo needs, and oh, the clues to look for with the client. You know, these are, in my opinion, the trickier ones of like, what do you look for if somebody's associating,
Yeah.
those types of things. Most of it's pretty basic stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
They might have changed things since because there's videos now saying like technique updates.
Mm,
Did you get all of that? Because
mm-mm.
that was an email that went out last year
No.
from the woman who wrote that book, the main book, the
Oh,
updated version.
okay.
So she interviewed Carl and put out like 10 videos. And
Oh,
anyway, I might,
Kate Marilot. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Monique
yeah.
sent me, she had put them all in her own playlist and sent them to me. So
Oh, good.
I
So you
started
have all that.
watching them.
Yeah.
But if you've seen all of that and,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, honey, you know, this is not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. And I took notes. So yeah, yeah. Okay, I have to go. I was supposed to
I
meet with
support you
Grace
in
at
taking the
10 years ago.
test.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I'll see if I could upload this to YouTube with a private link. So,
Thank you so much for
yeah.
this today.
Yeah.
Really, really, really appreciate
Helps
that.
me too. All right, honey. I love you. I'll see you soon.
Love you too. Bye.
All right.